Hey everyone, welcome to this brand new podcast. I have with me Mr. Andy, the CEO of Curatti, and my name is Senthil. I'm the VP of Marketing at Stan Ventures. In this podcast, we're going to cover the importance of guest posts, and Mr. Andy is here to share his thoughts about being from a webmaster point of view, how he sees guest posting as an approach, and he has some very good points to cover. Hopefully, there is a lot of information coming out of this podcast that will be helping the community. So, hey, Andy, welcome to our podcast.
Hey, Senthil. Hey, everyone who's listening. I'm very, very happy to be here.
Great. So, Andy, the first and foremost question that is on every SEO's mind: guest posts, do they still work in 2020?
I'm actually on the other end of whether they work or not, to be honest. They must work because we get so many outreach emails from people requesting that I can only presume that they work. But honestly, people don't tell me, oh yes, this worked great. They used to say, we got this many emails, we got this many tweets, this many new followers. We don't really get that kind of feedback now. But if the word was that there is nothing in this, then the requests would dry up. And quite the reverse of that, I actually counted one day, just once I counted, that there were nine requests in a single day. And I know that there are always a lot. But I just decided, what is going on here? I can't even look at all of these.
Yeah, I can understand the pain going through 9 emails. I'm pretty sure a lot of them are copy pasted ones. So as a webmaster, how do you read these and how do you approve them?
The copy and pasted ones, the ones that have, to go back from copy and pasted, the ones that have generic titles are like wallpaper, and I stopped seeing them. You can imagine, you know that some websites have banner ads on one side or the other, most often the right side, and regular visitors, they stop seeing that because it's like wallpaper. Well, this is what the generic titles are. And the copy and paste, what can you say? It's people have taken bad advice from someone. Maybe they've paid someone who's supposed to be an expert and can help them do it, or maybe the person who they're paid is masquerading as them. I don't know. I'm sure that happens. But what is so special about what it is that you are doing, and you're actually missing that if your email looks exactly the same as 80% of the other emails that come in, then you just become another person who's kind of lazy, kind of disingenuous, with the meaningless compliments that we know almost all of them are lies. No, you actually did not. You haven't looked at our blog for months or years, and you didn't even read the article you're quoting because the things that you're saying about it aren't true. We need to work together, and we need to like each other, and start off by just being you, and not by being this anonymous person hiding behind a form email that we see just constantly. Just don't do it.
Yeah, I can understand what you've been going through. A lot of emails from the John Smiths out there.
Oh, yes.
Emails being sent. I think the other day we were just having a chat around it. So could you please share your more experience on that front?
Okay.
I'm pretty sure at least 1 out of 10 emails come from John Smith. I don't know. The real John Smith might be feeling embarrassed looking at emails.
Well, we get there's a great word. Not everyone knows it, but preternatural. Preternatural is basically beyond natural, more than natural, which basically means that someone trying to be natural but is coming across as fake. So there are some names, and I'm not pulling one out of off the top of my head right now. They probably come from books, from fictional characters, from they're using an actor's name or something, at least the first name. People who have chosen names that they think will hide that they are from somewhere in the Indian subcontinent or someone from Eastern Europe, which are the two main non-English speaking, not in India, most anyone who's contacting us speaks English, but I mean like native first language English speakers. English writers, which is far more the point. They, unfortunately, I've heard stories that a lot of blog masters won't even read an email if it comes from Senthil instead of if it comes from Sam. So it can be very, very tempting for Senthil to call himself Sam, and then maybe add the word Smith at the end. And there's a Sam Smith's beer in England, so yeah. And hope that we will not realise that he's actually that this is not his main language, and everything that he says is a giveaway that it's not his main language. And so we know that this isn't who he really is. And we have a negative opinion of him immediately. Now, for us, we really, really enjoy working with people from India, Pakistan, Ukraine. We've had a lot of writers, and one of our greatest successes was someone who's from Pakistan, who was very, very green in his original approach and in his original email, and I worked with him, and it became just the most wonderful experience, because he took everything that I suggested. He turned his article into a masterpiece. Wow, so, yeah. And he did not. I can't give his name because that's not fair. But he did not approach us as Sam Smith. He approached us with his real name.
So that's an interesting point you're bringing in, Andy, because not many gurus out there, whoever is teaching about outreach, they talk about what template to use, how to send a pitch and all the other things, but nobody talks about using the real names, So for example, if I'm sending you an outreach mail, this is something which we also, so in fact, our own company does hundreds of outreach a day. So we are like having relationships built with hundreds and thousands of bloggers. But one thing that sets us apart is that our team uses the real names, because that is something which we are clear about it. Because the moment that is your first point of contact, and if you turn out to be a fake, then it just hurts the relationship again. Because if the blogger wants to have a chat with you on Skype, maybe a quick call, then you have to hide your face. There's no other way, because definitely the way that you send out an email, a Native American or native English speaker can easily find out. So it's always better not to fake. It's all about how much of the information that's being put out. So I think you hit the nail on the head, Andy. So this is something which I think probably one of the many reasons why people fail in terms of outreach is because they just go overboard, and they don't want to expose their names, so they just use their fake names just to hide their their privacy. I'm not sure about privacy, because if anyone wants to do guest posts, they have to be real, right? In fact, yes. That's what Google also wants. When the CAT guidelines and all the updates, they want the qualified people to talk about things rather than a Dr. Steve Smith, hiding under the radar. So I
Yes.
think this is a great thing. Maybe if someone is hearing this who's failing in outreach, this could be one of the reason why you might be failing, because you're just using a fake name. Probably when you put your real Twitter handle, your real LinkedIn profile, there's a high chance of people looking at you and saying, hey, this guy is for real. They can look at your previous articles and see how much of the engagement your articles have created, and that actually takes much more a standout compared to the others.
Yes.
um, yeah, it's a great takeaway, Andy. And what about the steps, Andy? What do you think is probably what do you suggest for a person who's starting new? What is your suggestion to someone, to starting with guest posting? What's your suggestion?
Okay. Well, there's more than one answer to that. So if you're really a beginner, if you have a lot of knowledge and it's just the blogging that you're new at, then if you're willing to take some instructions, some hints from the blog master, from the editor, then you can turn your first article into something really, really good. But if you are a beginner in terms of you really don't have expert knowledge, then you really should go to a blog where that is aimed at beginners. And the reason for that is Curatti is aimed more at more experienced people, which isn't to say they're our only readers. That's just who we aim at. And our readers have seen virtually everything in terms of broader subjects. So I can instantly tell when someone has been on Google, has found out something that's a hot topic and is basically writing an article as they're learning it. And because they're writing everything that has been written before and they don't have enough knowledge to add their own little slant to it. So there are certainly blogs that people who are doing that can go to. But when it comes to something where there are more experienced readers, you cannot come across as knowing a lot less than the people who are likely to be reading it.
Right.
And again, if you have all of this knowledge, you probably have a couple of ideas that go beyond the normal, and that is what will get people reading. It's the little twists from the hundreds of or thousands even of other articles on the same subject. What can you inject into it that makes someone who is a more experienced reader want to actually, why do they want to read your article?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm the gatekeeper here because I've been doing this for 6 years and I have seen so many articles. Some of them, I feel like I go blind as I'm reading them. I like throw my hands up in the air and this again, people saying content is king and thinking that they're really clever. 6 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, that was really clever. But in the 50 gazillion times it's been written since, it just makes me like scream out loud. I don't want to see that. If you put that in your article and send it to me, that's an instant fail.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and one more thing, Andy. So the thing is, the engagement which you are talking about, the article, like, Google prefers people who are experts in the field and trying to give the information and not just giving it as a guest post. So it's also about once you get the guest post in, and it's also about how many comments you're getting it and how many responses that you're making it. Because what people used to do is once the post is live and that's about it, there's no relationship. The deal is
Right.
done. They've got the link, and engaging with the content is it's missed out by people. I think as a webmaster, you might get pissed off by these kind of things, right? Because
I don't. I've stopped getting up too upset about people not engaging, because unfortunately, you'll find if anyone watching this wants to know about comments, we have Alice Elliott, Ellio and a single T, as I recall. Alice Elliott writes about people commenting. This is her pet passion. And it's true what she says, that not enough people leave comments. So I don't think that when you are blogging, you can have your sights set on receiving a whole lot of comments, because that could be disappointing when they don't come. But certainly when they do come, you should be willing and very, very quick to respond.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, Google also prefers more refreshed content. And we also have seen instances where Google indexes the user generated content. And, the more you're engaging the content, the more value adding to the existing page itself. And the more that page is going to get value, the more keywords it's going to rank as well. So it's not just about link building. It's also about making the post rank for even better terms, the discoverability for those keywords, getting in some good traffic, search traffic to that page, and that itself will make it much more, having more page authority. And when those kind of pages link to your website, the authority is more compared to just looking at, probably people just look at a domain authority metric or a DR. Some people use that, and they just shortlist the site and then go blitzkrieg, by just bombarding them with emails. Mm-hmm. But why don't you just build a relationship with the blogger and try to make your own post, instead of doing 100 new guest posts, the 5 or 6 guest posts, try to engage with the audience and try to make that post as much valuable as possible, so that you also get a referral traffic around it, rather than just using it as a place where to milk more links out of it. Right?
Okay, so a couple of points there.
Yeah.
When you are sending in an article, it's the reason for it isn't to show that you're brilliant. The reason for it is to communicate and, as you say, to engage.
Yes.
And you're not going to engage anyone if you come off looking like you're grandstanding, showboating, trying to use all of the newest terms that you just learned, because you kind of know that 5% of people know this, and you actually think that that makes you look smart to mention it and make everyone have to Google what it is. No, they're not going to Google. They're going to stop reading. They're not going to like you.
Yeah.
Be likable. And if you mention something that's a new term, and certainly there's a case for doing that once, maybe at the most twice in some articles, give a 1 or 2 line explanation, hyperlink to an article that explains it in more detail. So those people who just want to really know at a high level what it is, they can find out. Those that think, wow, this is really interesting, I like the sound of that, give them something to click through to and to read. But don't write a whole article using long words or flowery language that your English teacher used to like in school when you were writing essays. That this isn't school, these aren't essays. You're not trying to impress a teacher. These are real people who don't have much time, who don't need the bells and whistles and the flowery language. Just be real. Blog as close to the way you talk as possible, and you don't engage with anyone if you're trying to say, I'm smarter than you are. No one likes that. No one likes a smart aleck. So
in fact, if an article is about open-ended questions, about people asking the commenters to even share more value, even those kind of articles become more engaging, rather than you know what, I only know everything. Here's the complete
Yes.
article about it.
Yes.
People
Yes.
just don't want to engage with it, So probably I might say that, hey, this is what my opinion about it. What do you guys feel? Maybe I might be wrong on these things. What do you guys think about it? So you're just having an open-ended conversation so that you ask people to engage with your content. And it's not like, hey, I'm the only guy in the world who knows everything about guest posting. And, nobody cares. No, the moment people see that, I don't think they'll be wanting to engage with the guy because he's just showing up as, a Mr. Know-all. So people don't like that.
No,
Right?
they don't. That's right.
Great. So, and yes, the next tip, Andy. So we've learned about how to pitch, how to not to fake a pitch, be real, send a real article, and ensure that you're also engaging with your audience. And yes, the fifth point, probably I think from my side, I would say like it's about following up with the webmasters because people have the habit of shooting emails, but webmasters might tend to look at it, but we have seen quite a lot of success while we actually follow up. I might sound like a bit of salesman because sales used to say this, that the money is in the follow-ups. So I think the same applies to guest posting as well, because what we've seen is people, when they follow up, we seem to get more success. As a webmaster, what's your thoughts on this?
Well, this is a form of digital marketing. It is a form of social sales. And so, yeah, the money can certainly be in the follow-up. And when someone receives, 9 emails in a day, the chances are that they are only going to even notice the 2 that stand out, and 7 aren't even going to be seen. So follow up, but don't follow up in 2 hours or in 12 hours. Give people 3, 4, 5 days, a week, and then get back. Because maybe if they do actually respond to everyone, they have a big backlog. They have work also. The blog is what keeps us in the public eye. And in that regard, it is money, but in another regard, it's time that we put in that is unpaid, at least for that particular task. The task of blogging itself, or the task of posting itself, is unpaid. So the task of responding to outreach emails is unpaid. It's not the highest priority. It might be the highest priority for you as the person who sent the outreach, that the person sees you and responds to you, but the webmaster, the blog master, is busy actually doing other things that make money.
Great. So I think that's quite it. So I think it's quite a lot of learning. I hope someone's going to read or listen through this podcast. I'm pretty sure they're going to walk away with tons of insights.
I hope so.
I'm pretty sure someone, if someone is failing in outreach, I think adding up, maybe fine tuning these things, pretty much they'll be able to, get a good response rate from the webmasters. Andy, I'm really happy. Thank you so much for taking your time out. I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for taking your time out and
it's been fun.
All the questions.
I've enjoyed it.
So we'll be happy.
Time went very, very quickly, so it was fun.
Yes, great. So we'll hopefully, get back together in a second. Wait, there are a lot of things to talk about guest posting. I'm pretty sure there are people who are, maybe they can share their feedback, just like what we were saying in the podcast. We are just making this as an open-ended one. Please share your feedback. Maybe, you may have more questions. Maybe Andy and myself, we can answer your questions in the next podcast. Yeah. And keep the comments rolling. Thank you so much all for listening to this podcast. See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.